been a long time since I've tested a Lumintop flashlight. Today I have the Lumintop ODF30 to take a look at. It's a palm-sized floodlight that runs off a 26650 battery using a Cree XHP 70.2 LED for an impressive 3500 lumens in turbo mode. Thanks to Banggood for sending this to me to take a look at. So here is the packaging the light comes in. The top cover is kind of this Lumintop box with their logo. And the bottom has the runtimes and just some facts about it, some interesting things. Inside you get the light itself, obviously, and protected by this nice foam backing. Inside this pouch here, you get the pouch holster. You get the famous Lumintop orange lanyards that they're known for. You get 2 extra O-rings, and then you get your warranty card and your manual. The holster here is pretty nice. It has leather as the logo. It's braided nylon, and it's got some padding in there, kind of like neoprene. The light fits in here pretty nicely. Let me know what you think of this new background too. Do you like it? It's a nice retail packaging. Lumintop does a nice job with that, always has with their brown boxes. So construction on this light here, it's made from aluminum and its finish is a dry, flat black anodizing. Starting at the tail cap here, we can see it's flat and nicely machined. There is a spot here for your lanyard. It's kind of small. Unfortunately, you won't be able to fit paracord in there. And then if we move on to the body of the light, it's got this kind of square grip pattern. It's different from what I've seen on other lights that traditionally more have knurling. The light does not have any anti-roll features, as you can see here. If we move on to the button here, it's a positive click. It's a little bit loud. The head itself has quite a few grooves for heat sinking in here. It has very minimal branding, which I like, only the Lumintop ODF. If we move on to the headlight here, we see the front is stainless steel bezel. Below that you have this red gasket O-ring that Lumintop is known for, kind of like O-Light's blue one. Below that you have a nicely orange peeled reflector that's fairly deep, and you have the nicely centered and large Cree XHP 70.2 LED. Here is the tail cap insides. Instead of having a spring here, it's got a positive contact that doesn't move around. Make sure you don't put the positive side of your battery on this, or otherwise it may dent it if it's a protected cell like I'm running here. I would prefer a spring in future models. There is one spring which you may or may not be able to see down in there. Threads are square cut and fairly beefy, and greasing was minimal just around the O-ring surfaces itself. Personally, I'll apply some more grease to the threads later. And some size comparison here. Here is the Lumintop ODF30 next to a $20 bill. We can see it's a little bit shorter. Official maximum length that I measured was 119.5 millimeters. Maximum diameter at the head was 42 millimeters. Minimum diameter here was 29.32 millimeters. Weight with the Keep Power 26650 battery that I'm running here is 236 grams. Empty weight was 133 grams without the battery, and the light is rated for IPX8. Here are some size comparisons with the ThruNite TC20, which I reviewed here just a few weeks ago. They're very similarly sized lights. The Lumintop is just a hair, and I just mean a hair longer. Diameter-wise, they are nearly the same. Very similar in the hand. Sorry, the ThruNite has that more aggressive grip there than the Lumintop. Both are excellent in my opinion, size-wise and build quality-wise. As I mentioned earlier, this light uses a Cree XHP 70.2 LED in cool white. It has a large dome on the LED, which is typical of that 70.2. I didn't notice this light having the Cree rainbow like you see on some of the other 70s I've seen, especially that Headlight. Edges on the beams were fairly well controlled and mostly a flood. Here's a tabletop beam shot, and you can see it's really mostly flood. There's very little defined hot spot in this style of beam. If I hold it above the table here, you can see quite even. Here I've got the night shots for the Lumintop ODF30, and here it is in low. This is a nice camping style light. It's big in your hand. It has quite a bit of flood here, as we can see. And there is no true real low, which is disappointing. This is fairly bright for low. And if I bump up to medium here, really does a nice job lighting up this whole area. Bumping up one more time to high. As you can see, it's a real flood of a light. No real hot spot in the beam, it just lights up the whole area nicely. So on the left I've got this Lumintop, and it's a cool white LED. On the right I've got the Through Night that I reviewed recently, the TC20. And you can tell a difference in the beam patterns here and the temperature of the LEDs. The cool white is on the left and that neutral white is on the right. The neutral white just does a lot better job of rendering the green and the nature, in my opinion. Here is the Lumintop at max brightness, and here is the Through Night. Both very floody, both excellent choices, very similar sizes. You couldn't go wrong with either. Runtimes were impressive for the ODF30. Turbo is limited to 3 minutes, unfortunately, in which time it heats up pretty nicely. High lasted for quite a while, about 20 minutes, and then output did sag. It's still above 90% relative output though, before it stepped down to the middle output. And that middle output is where the light is really impressive and ran for 140 minutes for 65% of the time. At the end, the light stepped down, running on low, and seemed to just flash a few times before shutting off to let you know. When it shut off, the light was still pretty warm to touch, borderline uncomfortable. And I used a Keep Power 26650 battery that was rated for 4,500 milliamp hours to test that. I ran another 30-minute test from Turbo that generated an output curve here that shows that 3 minutes of runtime more in depth. You get a drop off pretty quick, but then it slows down and output drops, taking smaller steps. After about 8 minutes, the light is pretty steady for the remaining 35 minutes of this test. At the end here, you see it was hot. I measured it at 124 degrees on the body of the light where you'd hold it. This was an uncooled temperature, and that's pretty uncomfortable to hold on to. If I was holding on to this, I would have turned it down before it got this hot. I measured parasitic drain at 3.2 microamps. UI is super simple on this light. You get low, medium, and high in that order. When on high, you double click to go to turbo. And there is an eco mode, which is still a little bit too high for my liking. And how you get to that is with the light off, you press and hold, and you get that eco mode that you can barely see there on camera. The light has a strobe, but it can only be accessed from that eco mode first. So once you're in eco, you double click to strobe. I like that strobe isn't a part of that main group, but this is a little awkward. I still like that O-Light system of, double click for turbo, triple click to strobe. To me, that just makes sense. Lockout mode's also available on this light, but it's a little bit awkward to use. With the light off, you press for 4 seconds and the light will flash, letting you know it's entered lockout mode. To unlock requires unscrewing the tail cap here. That's certainly a different way to unlock in my opinion. I would just prefer to mechanically unlock the light by unscrewing the tail cap here. If we have the light on, we can see it takes very little, less than 1/20th of a turn to make mechanical lockout happen. So that's what I'll use. This light also has a low voltage reminder by flashing this LED under the button. And it's a little bit hard to see if you don't notice it or you have your finger on it. It comes on at voltages under 3 volts. If I compare the Lumintop ODF30 to the Through Night TC20 that I reviewed earlier, like I was saying, the size is pretty similar. Both are floods with very similar beam patterns. The Through Night is a bit more expensive, but it includes a 26650 battery and it has onboard charging. For me, the biggest factor is it has that neutral white LED. I'd give that slight build feel advantage to the Lumintop, nothing against the Through Night. It's still very good. Brightness-wise to the eyes, they're very similar as well. My conclusion is this is a nicely built handheld flood. I like the 26650 battery format. It fits nicely in the hand while providing a large amount of light for whatever task you need. This makes a great hiking or camping light with its long run times and great amount of light. Or around the house for emergency or just general purpose too. This is a big enough light that most people won't EDC it in a pocket, but if you did want to carry it on the belt, the included holster is pretty good. The Cree XHP70 LED in this is largely free of artifacts and color abnormalities that I've seen in similar LEDs. For me, the lack of onboard charging isn't a big deal because I have several chargers that accommodate 2650 batteries. I'd prefer the light to be slightly longer almost and use a spring at both ends versus just that solid tail so it doesn't dent any protected batteries. I'd also like to see polarity markings either in the battery tube or on the exterior. And I do really like that 26650 battery format is starting to gain more wide use for more lights. Thanks again to Banggood for sending this light to me to review. I'll have links in the description below to where you can check it out and get any coupons that Banggood's provided to me to save you money. Let me know what you think of this new surface. Do you like me using this wood, or would you prefer me to go back to my blue border? If you have any questions, make sure to leave them in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer them. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe to my channel. Doing so helps me to continue to bring videos like this to you.